Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to our Safe Space podcast. My name is Haruna Amina, the founder, Women Empowerment and Safe Space Advocacy Center Abuja, a passionate gender advocate, a feminist, and by my right,
Hello, good morning. My name is Maria Moduma, and I'm here with my sister Amina to talk about gender-based violence and what the society at large faces. Thank you for having me.
thank you for coming to our safe space and having this chat with us. There is this notion about gender based violence in our society, especially around the Black community. What do you think the role of culture has been around gender-based violence, basically, to you?
When you talk about culture right now, I can only limit it to my society where I grew up,
Yes.
being a Nigerian and being from the Middle Belt. You see, I'm of the notion that culture has really played a huge role in promoting gender-based violence because of the rules that have been set in place in the times of generation past, our mothers, our fathers, our forefathers, and then it's been passed down. So the rules that the culture has put in place is it really promotes gender-based violence.
So, by extension, you're saying that we have some culture and norms within our Nigerian sector that serves as an enabler of gender-based violence.
Absolutely.
Okay, can we have a clue of one of these examples of this culture or norms that probably has a label? Like there's this saying in the Yoruba culture that they say ile oko, ile eko, which literally translates to say the husband house is a place of training. Could it be one of those cultural or norms that we have been groomed with that you are referring to? Could it be one of those things that serves as an enabler of gender-based violence?
Yes, to a large extent, I'll say yes because it doesn't. You can't. Let me put it this way: you can't put gender-based violence on the side without talking about gender equality or inequality. The society where we find ourselves, our culture has made it seem like um, the man, the man is the standard where the woman has to fit into. You know, our culture makes it like from the day one when a woman is being groomed, you're not being groomed for your person as a person. You're being groomed to fit into a man's life. So already from the onset, the balance isn't there. Your identity as a woman is embedded into under a man or into a man, so to speak. So when you say ile oko, lile eko, or however it's said,
Yes.
it means that your husband's house is your training ground,
Yes.
is a definition of who you are. It has, it's what's going to say who you are. It sets the standard. Let me just put it that way.
Okay, thank you very much. I know when we hear gender-based violence, often at times we tend to limit it to just women. But well, in the society where the stigmas around gender-based violence has limited the reportability of men who suffered one form of gender-based violence or the other. It could be domestic violence, it could be intimate partner violence. Do you think society has done so much to help gender-based violence survivors or victims to speak up?
Oh, in all honesty, gender-based violence is not particular to one gender. It's a two. It's on both sides, you know. But I'm sorry to say, it's more magnanimous about the woman here because of the way our culture has always sidelined the woman. So that's why the woman's side is heard more. But no, you can't say that the men are not being abused or there is no violence on the man's part. Oh, it is. And in the same way, our culture has also enabled gender-based violence on the man's part because here men are not allowed to cry. You know, you might
Yes.
be going through a lot of things, and it's so unmanly when you
To
want to
speak.
voice it and you don't speak up. You have to put up a face ad like, oh, I'm a hard guy, oh, I'm a man. Men don't cry.
Yes.
And so in the same vein, as a woman suffers, so as a man really dying in silence. And you could see that the rate of suicide for men is more. Why? Suicide comes from you keeping in and bottling in, nobody to speak up to. And then when they get overwhelmed, it's like, there's no one going to hear me out. A man shouldn't be complaining. A man shouldn't sulk. And then that's just it.
Thank you very much. The stigmas that build around gender-based violence in Nigeria, in our own context, is huge. Just like you say, you are a man, you shouldn't speak up. You are a man, you should not be saying things like this. You should not be seen reporting that your wife is beating you, your wife is verbally abusing you, your wife is abusing you emotionally, because abuses comes in various forms and shapes. It's not just physical. When people abuse you verbally, it's another form of abuse.
Yeah.
So I think the society we live in has been carved in a way that men should not be found speaking. And also women who suffers gender-based violence, probably domestic violence, which is one of the most commonest form of violence we've found around here from studies that have been put out there. Women have been seen not being able to find a way to live because of the stigma out there. Ah, she left. Why did she leave her marriage? Why can't she stay and make it work? So they make it look like the bulk of the work to making it right is now on the shoulder of the women. So when you leave, you become an object of mockery. So I think it's something our society should be able to look in way inward and begin to readdress it. And individually, we should be able to be working on it. People should not be stigmatized when it comes to gender-based violence. Thank you. And then one more thing we'll talk about is this. Do we even have the support services within the community sector? We're not even looking at the civil society organization. We're not looking at the government agencies. We're not even looking at the international organization. We're just looking within us. Do we have like a support system? And is the family a good support system to victims or survivors of gender-based violence in Nigeria?
Um, like we said, and that's why our topic is talking about cultural stuff. The Nigerian society, like how we've been raised, you don't come back home.
Mm.
You're meant, when you're married, it's for better, for worse, according to, besides what the Bible says, our culture, your home. The moment you're married and you've gone out, your father has shut his door to you returning home. You're coming home might be for visits and all that, but you're not allowed to, oh, I'm done with this, oh, I'm being violated, oh, they'll tell you, there's no coming back home. There's no safe place for you to return to. And you know, first off, where could be your safe place except better than the home where you grew up, than the people who know you better,
Your immediate family.
your immediate family? Because sometimes you assume, like, oh, this person, oh no, when I go back home, when I talk to mom or I talk to my brothers, they will understand. And then you begin to speak, and then oh, they might listen to you and say, at some point they'll be like, you feel like, I'm beginning to think I might have to leave the marriage. They would ask you, where would you go? Like, I'll go home. They'll be like, where is home? And then suddenly it begins to dawn on you, where is home?
Wow.
Home is Ilioko. So you know that there's no safe. I would I wouldn't say there's no safe haven. Places are coming up. You know,
Yes.
organizations are coming up with um, places to cushion the effect and pain of people who have been violated.
Yes.
But more could be done. More could be
So
done.
thank you very much. Like you rightly stated, most families in our society, in a way, directly or indirectly, has been enablers and a contributing factor to the deaths of women in some abusive relationship, whereby you look at your family and they tell you, no, go and pray, go and make it work. You can't come back here. Some persons are very privileged to have come from a family where they are welcome back home. They will tell you, if it's not working, come back home. But many out there do not have the kind of luxury, do not have the kind of privilege of having a good family that will understand that this thing is not good and then you should not be going through it. So I think the family has a whole lot to do and have that understanding at the back of their mind that this child is my child, is our child. So that when anything goes wrong and then it's probably going to harm them or hurt their life, we should be able to have a space for them to come back to and feel love. It's not like you are selling your child out to that person like it's a property to be earned by some token of bride price or dowry or war abuse, so that once they stay there, whatever happens, they should remain there and stay good. I think the society and the family has to look in that direction and then help survivors and victims of gender-based violence overcome some certain things.
I would
And
like to buttress
okay.
point. Um, we have our beliefs, based on our individual religions and all that.
Yes.
I, for one, being a Christian, I know when you take your vows at the altar, it says for better, for worse. But there's been a misconception about this for better, for worse of a term. Now, when we say for better, for worse, it's saying through thick and thin. Like, oh, in sickness and in health, when my husband has his lows and his highs, there are times, oh, through poverty, we will sort through it together, through the hard times.
Yes.
We do it together. It doesn't, because when you go home or you go back and you feel like it's time you want to opt out, they tell you, oh, but you said for better, for worse. For worse doesn't mean worse to the detriment of my health, where my partner becomes my abuser. It's a partnership, for better, for worse. When the tides are down, we wade through it together. Or should it be my husband turns out to be an amputee from an accident? Oh, these are the worst times. I'll be there with you. The hospital times, I'll be there with you. And I expect vice versa. But we're not saying for better, for worse, that the worst should be where you become my abuser or I become your abuser. That becomes a very unhealthy situation for people to stay. And it's okay. And I think, like, families need to stand up some more. Before your daughter or your son got married, they were an individual first. Before marriage, they were first an individual. Before these two people met and felt they could work and make it work for the betterment of society and culture and whatever. But if it comes to a point where it's at the detriment of one person or the other, hey, you can say if your princess needs a breather and wants to come back home, dear fathers, may be the safe haven for them. Mothers, give them a listening ear. So,
Thank you very much, Mimi. You have spoken so well, so beautiful. Like you rightly said, there is this thing that will so cling to some religious and some cultural doctrines, and we do not tend to understand it in a different context. But you've shared a better light in this context now that we're explaining the support system and then gender-based violence. Many should be able to understand that for better, for worse, it's not for me to be a punching bag, for me to be carrying scars on my faces, and that is the only time I'm fulfilling that vow. So it should be me understanding that we are doing this thing together in love. When you are low, I am there for you. When I am low, you are there for me. So it's more like a support system for each other.